Um, so what we'll do is today we're going to be talking about gut health. So this is such a passionate topic for me because everything stems from the gut, and you'll see why. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So can everyone hear me okay? See me okay? All right. Perfect. All right, so today we're going to talk about the importance of our gut health and how the microbiome actually affects our health. So if you've heard of the term microbiome, just pop a 1 in the chat if you've heard of what the term microbiome means. So just a really interesting fact, did you know that our gut microbiome is actually home to 100 trillion microbes? That is a huge number, right? So when you look at the fact that we have over 100 trillion, we actually have over 40 trillion in bacterial cells and over 30 trillion human cells. So technically, we are actually more bacteria than we are human. That's a really cool concept, right? Because yeah, we basically are more bacteria than we actually have human cells. So we need to really take care of the bacterial cells growing in our gut mainly, and also looking after all the other sort of cells because that affects our human cells. So what is a gut microbiome? So for those that have heard of the term, it is actually a community of bacteria, including other viruses, protozoas, and fungi. So they all reside mainly in our gut, right? So they make up over 1,000 different species of bacteria. And it actually is around about 99% from about 30 to 40 different species. So most of it is from, the majority is about 30 to 40 common species of bacteria. And they each have their own DNA. It's really fascinating. They each have their own specific DNA makeup, and they all have specific symbiotic functions. So they have their own function of what they do in the body and in the gut. And all of these bacteria is actually really important to managing our health, managing our immune system, and how our body fights disease. And one of the main influences that actually affects the gut is actually stress. So stress actually can throw our gut microbiome out, as well as some of the other things you'll see can throw it out as well. So what are the functions of our gut microbiome? So these are the main functions. So we'll start from the left. So it actually helps with modifying our nervous system. So it affects our nervous system function, all the signaling to all the different nerves. It helps to break down our food. So everything you eat into your stomach that goes into your digestive tract actually will help be broken down by the bacteria in your gut. It actually also helps with all the pathogens it comes in contact with. So your microbiome will fight any sort of pathogen that it sees as being hostile or not good for the body, and it will actually fight those pathogens. It actually protects your body against epithelial injury, any cellular injury inside the body as well. And it actually helps with modulating all the bone density, all the calcium, all the bone mass is actually modulated by the microbiome. It actually also promotes fat storage. So it helps with the fat storage, it helps with how your body stores fat. That's why a lot of the time when you see people with a big gut, it's all that fat that's been stored around a lot of the cells, around a lot of the stomach. So it promotes how your body releases fat or how it stores fat. And also promotes angiogenesis, so the forming of red blood cells. That's actually formed in the gut microbiome. And again, we spoke about immune modulation because basically 90% of all that bacteria that we see is actually in our gut, in our digestive tract. And again, it synthesizes all the vitamins, amino acids, all the things that you're taking internally through your vitamin supplementation, that's synthesizing the vitamins and seeing where it needs to go in the body, as well as metabolizing any pharmaceuticals as well that you're taking. So you can see the functions of the gut bacteria are quite extensive. So we really need to make sure we are looking after this gut because we want all of these to function properly. If any of these aren't functioning to the best of its ability, you're going to have problems with your health, right? From everything on this diagram, you need it all to be working in perfect harmony to avoid disease, basically. So what is the function of our gut? As we spoke about all those, but it's also, when we look at our gut health, right, it is telling you about the well-being of our own body, right? It's such important information. Who knew that your poop would actually tell you so much about your health. And if anyone out there has ever done a poop sample or looked at your microbiome, pop a 2 in the chat, because I'll tell you more about that later. I've had my own done, and it tells you so much information, right? So what we're eating, everything that's inside of our gut can be seen from just a small stool sample. So what we see from that is showing us the well-being of our internal function as well as our health. We spoke about how this turns all the foods that we're eating into the fuel for our body. It absorbs and creates all the nutrients we need, and it removes harmful toxins, right? Our digestive system, our large and small intestine make up something like 7 meters, right? And if they actually say that you take your intestines out and you lay it flat on a flat surface, who can tell me what the size of that would actually be? Can someone guess? See if you've popped it into the chat. Can anyone tell me what the size of your intestinal tract is if you actually lay it out flat? What that would be equivalent to? It's actually equivalent to round about 3/4 of a tennis court. All right, so it's quite a large size, right? So if you're ironing out all the sort of compacted intestine that we have, and you iron it out, it's almost the size of a tennis court. So you can see how many harmful toxins can actually be compacted into, right, our gut. And there's some things where people call leaky gut. So if your gut function isn't right and it's not contained within the digestive tract, it sort of seeps out into the other organs. And 75% of our immune system is in our gut, because you can see all that bacteria resides in our digestive tract. So chronic disease is actually influenced by how much gut inflammation is in our digestive tract, in our stomach, in our small and large intestine, right? So the point is, if you fix your gut and you have a beautiful working gut, everything, all the bacteria that's meant to be there is there, all the good guys are fighting the bad guys, you're going to have less chances of chronic disease, and you're going to be in optimal health. So it's very important that we get our gut function to being optimal. We have all the right bacteria that we want in there, and we have a lot of it, right? We have enough of the right beneficial bacteria to make sure our body is functioning healthy. Let's kind of go to the next slide. All right, so there's also what we call the gut-brain connection. So who's heard of the gut-brain connection? Pop a 3 in the chat. So the gut-brain connection is actually where all the neurotransmitters, such as serotonin, right, is actually produced in our gut. So if we've got things like all the inflammation, all of that that's happening in the gut, we haven't got the right proper bacteria in the gut, right, it's not producing enough serotonin and other sort of neurotransmitters that we need for a better health. So they say that the gut is actually the second brain, because you've got this bi-directional communication, right? The gut communicates with the brain connects with the gut, and it becomes a cycle. So if you don't have good serotonin and you don't have any sort of oil melatonin, all the different happy hormones and the different neurotransmitters that we need, which are produced in the gut, you're not going to have a good healthy brain function, because it's not going to be able to communicate that to the brain, and vice versa. So they say that neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, ALS, MS, Parkinson's, is actually a lot. They've found out that those people actually have a huge problem with their gut, right? They don't have the right bacteria in there, as well as other things. But one of the main things is obviously their immune system is not working as well for them, and there's a lot of problems going on with their gut. So we need to make sure that we are looking after the microbiome, as this is connected to our brain health. And what is happening in our gut, right, in terms of inflammation, leaky gut, all the bacteria that should be there that aren't, or the wrong types of bacteria, is actually associated with all the different sort of problems such as anxiety, depression, obesity, and even diabetes. So a lot of the time when people come and see me and they've got severe anxiety or depression, the first thing I get them to look after is their gut, right? If you fix the gut, because of the hormones being produced in the gut, you're going to actually get more balance in terms of mood as well. So what sort of things actually damage our gut, right? So we all know this, but we'll go through it anyway. Because processed foods, right, it's highly processed. So obviously if it's coming from a packet, it's not really going to serve our gut with a whole lot of beneficial, nutrients really. Sugar is the biggest cause of inflammation, right? It causes inflammatory guts. It can cause leaky gut, right? And it's not processed properly, and it causes the cells to become inflamed. And it, and also some of the bad bacteria love feeding on sugar. So what happens is you get more excess of the bad bacteria instead of having that good beneficial bacteria. Again, bad fat. So if you're cooking with bad oils, canola oil, vegetable oil, safflower oil, all of those highly processed oils, they're not going to be good for our gut as well, because they've been so highly processed that it's basically, killing all the beneficial bacteria. Gluten and dairy as well, they're highly inflammatory to our gut microbiome. Excess amounts of alcohol as well, that's not good. And also anything that is really genetically modified food. So this will also affect our gut health. And again, lastly, stress. Stress is the biggest cause of issues in our gut, because we talked about the gut-brain connection. So also if stress will also lead to you eating bad foods as well. If we feel stressed, we generally tend to have more coffee, more processed foods, more sugar, and also it's affecting our mood and our brain health. So, it's all a vicious cycle. So stress is also a big cause of what is happening to our gut microbiome. So what do we need to do? We need to feed our gut, right, with the right things, with the right foods, right? And with that, it will change the environment inside of our gut, right? It will change the composition of the different bacteria. So we need to feed our gut with healthy microbes, right? So all the different foods that we need to feed our gut will actually then benefit the different bacterial composition. So in terms of food, what can you do to eat foods, right? Like the good bacteria loves fiber-rich foods. It feeds off the different fibers. So all the different fruits that you can get, right? Whole bunch of different vegetables. So see, they're just some of the top sort of fiber-rich foods that you can incorporate into your daily diet. Nuts and seeds as well. So a handful of nuts and seeds, or your legumes. Make sure your legumes are well cooked as well, because that can cause an upset in people's stomach if they sort of are sensitive to sort of uncooked or well-cooked legumes as well, or even sort of beans and that. And also grains, right? So sort of the whole grains are really good. So any sort of that fiber will feed the good beneficial bacteria to get more of that, and sort of instead of feeding the bad bacteria. So your stomach, your microbiome loves fiber-rich foods. Remember, there's over 1,000 different strains. So if you imagine if you're eating a really well-rounded diet with lots of fiber-rich foods that are actually proper foods, not processed foods, this is going to feed your microbiome and keep your body healthy. So I always say, well, what do we eat? Well, we need to eat the rainbow, right? It's not the standard American diet. So those who see your clients and talk to people about what they eat, it's not really very colorful. If you see the standard American diet, even the standard Australian diet sometimes, right, it's just full of processed foods, fried foods, right? Nothing that's really colorful. Right? If you can eat the rainbow is amazing for our microbiome. It will also feed all the different areas of our body, because everything that is colorful has lots of strong phytonutrients. It's got, lots of nutrients and everything that your body needs to basically be able to function properly. And it's also not processed. So if you're having proper foods that is coming straight from the farm, you're cooking it, you know what's going in it, you know that it's going to be healthy for you, as opposed to eating things which are highly processed, that's not going to serve your body with any sort of good nutrients and feed your microbiome. So the best thing you can do is eat the rainbow. The more colorful your dish, the better it is for your health. So we can have a look here at the standard diet. Generally, right, it's in the sort of Western diet, you can see that they have a lot more processed foods. We just spoke about that. There's a lot of cakes, a lot of cookies, a lot of breads and all of that. Some seafood, dairy, but then the vegetables and that is very little, right? There are some clients who hardly even eat vegetables and fruits, but we really want to get people to be eating as much fruit and vegetables as we can, right? Because they've actually switched over the food pyramid. I don't know if anyone has seen the food pyramid back in sort of the 60s and 70s. So we're talking about, breads and carbs as being that big thing to eat, right? And sort of little of a lot of other things. But now they've switched and they've realized that our health is getting worse and we actually need more of all the fruits and vegetables. So that should be the biggest makeup of your daily diet, right? And then your grains, and then a bit of seafood, and all the processed foods should be little to none, right? This is what is going to basically give your gut a great microbiome and be able to feed all of that healthy bacteria, as opposed to the Western diet, which most people do. So we really need to be wary about what we're actually putting into our bodies. And again, we want to be feeding our bodies with the right probiotics and prebiotics, right? So these things, probiotic foods include like kimchi, kefir yogurts, right? Tempeh, miso, kombucha, sauerkraut. So pop a one in the chat if you have any of these sort of probiotic foods in your diet at all. And again, prebiotic foods, they're really good to feed the bacteria as well. So you've got things like unripe bananas. So as probably about a year or two ago, I started having more unripe bananas. So those which are sort of green, like not super green, but verging on just turning yellow, they're really good to feed your body with. Asparagus, garlic, oats, nuts, legumes, right, artichokes, all of that, because they're very rich in fiber. And so if you aren't eating a lot of those foods, then I suggest taking our amazing probiotic. So it's the LifeVantage ProBio, and I love this probiotic for many different reasons, right? Number one, it's got a delayed release technology, right? The capsule is made specifically that takes something like 56 to 58 minutes to dissolve in your digestive tract, whereas a lot of them is actually basically dissolving in the stomach before it even hits your small and large intestine, which is where you want the probiotics, the microbiome, the flora, sorry, to go into your gut. It's got 6 key strains of the beneficial bacteria, and we'll go through them in the next slide. And they include over 6 billion CFUs, so they're called colony forming units, right? How many beneficial bacteria colony forming units are in a capsule? This is per capsule. This particular probiotic also includes like your beta-glucans, which is coming from baker's yeast, right, which helps promote a digestive system flora. It's made from good fiber, and it helps promote bacterial growth, and it supports your body's natural immune response, right? And if you've got better immune response, you're going to have better stress response as well. So what is in this particular probiotic, right? So when you're looking for a probiotic, make sure you're looking for ones which have got several different strains. So this one has got 6 billion strains, and the most common one is Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and this one has 2.6 billion CFU, right? And just quickly, it basically helps with gastrointestinal infections, diarrhea, immune response, and prevents certain allergies. So for those who've got allergies, this is an amazing one because it's got a high amount of Lactobacillus rhamnosus, or LGG. The second one is Lactobacillus paracasei, and this is actually boosts immunity, and it has anti-inflammatory properties as well. So that's almost 1.75 billion. Lactobacillus acidophilus, so 1.52 billion. This helps with infections. So if you've got things like diarrhea, IBS, right, chronic sort of digestive system issues, it also helps to lower bad cholesterol. It's beneficial for those who are asthmatic, and it helps to boost immunity. And then the last one in this particular one is, this is very hard to pronounce, Bifidobacterium lactis. So I don't know why they think such long names for these bacteria. This helps to aid digestion, prevention from infection, and helps to improve your immune response as well. So when you're looking for probiotic, do look for one that has multiple strains, especially if you're taking it on an ongoing, daily as well. That's not to say that a probiotic should be the answer and you're not eating well. So I suggest people still eat really well, as well as cut out all those inflammatory foods. Take as much as you can in terms of sort of prebiotic and probiotic foods, but add an extra probiotic to your regime to make sure you're getting some of these great beneficial bacteria, to make sure you're getting, the right amount into your body each and every day. So remember your gut, right? It's so important. Imagine it like, you're in a garden, right? We need to be feeding it with the right things, because if you're feeding it with the wrong things, it's not going to grow to be this beautiful garden, right? You're going to get this. So who wants a beautiful garden, which is full of, sort of no weeds? It's got, lots of pretty flowers. It's growing really well. It's working, it's nice to look at, as opposed to, if you're feeding your gut with all the wrong things, this is what you're going to get in your, internal microbiome, right? If you're not feeding it with the right things, you can't expect it to flourish like in a garden. It needs to serve you, it needs to be able to look after your health. And I'm sure if we had a look at a lot of people's guts, this is what we'd see, because most people are not eating the right diet, let alone even taking a probiotic. So we really need to make sure we are actually feeding that beautiful inner garden, so that can help our immune system and help us stay healthy and avoid chronic illness. So that's all I've got for you today. I will open up to some questions. So if anyone's got any questions, let me know your feedback. Let me know what you learnt. What was your takeaway? I'd love to hear your responses. So,
hey, Ellie, it's Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Can you just like a prebiotic, explain like a prebiotic, does that give it the food before?
Yeah, so it helps to feed the beneficial bacteria as well. So it's sort of like a they're different strains. So the prebiotic will actually serve as sort of helping the probiotic being absorbed as well. So all the different strains, it'll help, you know, both we have two, like lots of different bacteria. So some of them feed off the prebiotic foods as well. So they need both the pre and probiotics as well. So it's kind of like the step before the probiotics working more to feed the gut.
And some of the stuff is food for while it travels down the meters and meters and meters.
Yes, yeah. So basically, a lot of the bacteria, right, it's all still sitting in the gut, right? But what it does, it moves its way down there, and most of it resides in the small and large intestine. So that's where you're going to get most of your gut bacteria, is actually in the intestinal walls and in your actual small and large intestine. And the stomach acids, not so much, it's mainly hydrochloric acid. Most of it is actually in your small and large intestine itself. That's what we talk about when we're talking about the gut, is actually in your intestines, and in your small and large intestine is where all of that bacteria resides mainly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Ellie. I've got a question.
Yes, Josie.
Yeah. So the question is, so I've got someone who asked me, okay, Josie, if I was to take this probiotic, my gut's really, really bad. I'm getting a lot of gas, constipation. How much probiotics maximum can they take per day, and when is the best time to take it?
Oh, look, you can even take 2 of those capsules a day, right? So I think that the best time to take probiotics, I take my probiotics is last thing in the evening. I actually like to take it before bed, because that's actually feeding your body with all that bacteria while you're sleeping. Because if you have it during the day and you've eaten food, it gets all mixed in together. So I actually like to take my probiotics sort of right in the evening, straight after dinner, after I finish my dinner. So I finish my dinner about 6, 7 o'clock. I'll probably have it around 9 o'clock in the evening, because I want to feed my gut bacteria while I'm sleeping with all that right beneficial bacteria. So if they've got gut issues, there's no problems with taking 2 capsules a day, right? They can take them both at the same time, and that will be no problem. But it doesn't mean that they can just take the probiotic and still eat rubbish, right? We've seen that food is actually the most important thing, right? No supplementation is going to replace a bad diet, but it can help you if you're eating really well and then taking the probiotic. They can definitely take 2 a day for as long as they need. There's no problems in taking, you know, more, taking two probiotics. Yeah. So yeah, there's no problem taking 2 whatsoever. So they can take 2. They can take it down to 1 when the digestive system starts feeling a bit better, or they're not getting as many symptoms. They can actually take less, but at least 1 a day.
Ellie, I have a question.
Ooh, sorry.
Yes, hi Ruby. Yes, Ruby, Olivia.
Can I go? Or?
Yeah, go Ruby.
Okay. Just, should you really be taking a probiotic and prebiotic at the same time?
You can do. Yeah, there are some which are specific prebiotics, so they both sort of induce both the good bacteria. So you can take both as well. Yeah, some of them do have the prebiotic in there. I like to actually take some prebiotics from food itself, right? So I make sure I'm on some prebiotic foods that will help with those the beneficial microorganisms that feed all the sort of GI tract and the different fungi and all of that.
Because the ones that you had on your slides for the prebiotics, I don't really eat any of those. Is there anything that you could? Is there any like supplementation that would provide as a prebiotic?
Yeah, there are some prebiotic supplements out there. Yeah, you can get some which have got prebiotics in there to feed. Yeah.
And should you take it at the same time as a probiotic, or do you take it?
You can take it at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can take it at the same time.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Can I go now? Sorry.
Yes.
Also, Ruby, I'm pretty sure that LifeVantage have a prebiotic, but it's only available in the States.
Oh, okay. Yes.
My question was, I was just saying to Josie, I finish work quite late, usually 8 p.m. and I then eat my dinner and then I go to bed at like 10:30. Is there a time frame that I should be waiting after eating dinner before taking the probio? Or
I
can
would
you
just
eat
do it
it?
on an empty stomach. So your digestive system can take around about 2 to 4 hours to digest all the food you're on, right? So it depends on what you're eating. You could be, you know, if you're having a very light meal, it'll probably be digested within sort of the 2 hours, right? But if you're taking, you know, a heavy meal at that time, which I don't suggest, then I would take the probiotic first thing in the morning while your gut is still empty.
Okay.
So I would probably either do it last thing at night, or if you'd spend about 2 to 3 hours, or take it first thing in the morning when you wake up.
If I was to take it first thing in the morning, how long should I wait after taking it to then have breakfast?
An hour?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, Emma's got her hand up. Yes, Emma.
Hi, I actually have a question.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of questions. One was, how does it work with anyone that's had any type of medical operation that has only a smaller bowel, a smaller intestine, or larger? How would that affect taking the pro?
Oh, it shouldn't matter at all.
No, shouldn't matter. Would be any assistance? Or?
Yeah, that shouldn't matter. If you've had surgery and all of that, that'll be good to be taking that. So
okay, so if someone's only got a smaller, a partial smaller bowel, that will be
doesn't
okay.
matter. You still need that beneficial. You still need that beneficial bacteria.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And what about anyone that's had any bypass? Like a lot of people now these days are having cosmetic surgery, or who have to have intervention surgery, where they have a stomach bypass, or a sleeve.
Yeah, that still doesn't matter, because all of this bacteria is actually what's already in your gut. That actually needs more of these beneficial bacteria. So some of those 4 strains that I mentioned is 4 of the most common. Yeah, it's really why, they have a prebiotic in the US. But some of these are the most common strains that is going to be needed inside your gut, right? So even if they've got all of that plastic sleeve, or they've done some gastric banding or any of that, what clients have done that, it doesn't take away from the fact that they still need that good beneficial bacteria in their gut. They probably need it more than ever after surgery, or all of that gets mucked up, right? And they're not probably eating as well as they should be, because for whatever reason now they're eating less and not having as much of the right food. So I would say, look, that has nothing to do with surgery. I think it's not going to harm them, because it's not something that's not in their body. These are just adding to the bacteria and helping with your immune response, as well as, you know, preventing infection. So if they've had all that mucked up, it could actually be better for them that they're on at least eating well than they're taking a probiotic.
And I've got another question too. With the pyramid and that you've got with the charts and things, how, in relation to the food products that people eat, would you suggest that it should be more organic, or it doesn't really matter?
Yes, definitely. So that's why I put GMOs, and also definitely if it's better organic, you're avoiding a lot of the other toxins. And I'm going to cover that in one of my next talks, is on the importance of reducing toxicity, right? One of them comes from pesticides and foods being sprayed, because when that's getting sprayed, you're actually adding to more bad things into your body, having to process that through your digestive system, right? So if you can have organic, it's not always going to be possible. If you can have organic, then that would be ideally obviously better for you than not. But that being said, it's better that you have even non-organic vegetables and fruits and not having any at all, right? So people go, oh, it's got to be organic because I'm not going to buy it if it's not organic. Well, it's better that you're even eating something, as long as it's obviously better to have organic as number 1 in fruits and vegetables. But then secondly, if you can't get organic, at least eating fruits and vegetables is better than not at all. So yeah.
With others can't.
Oh, sorry, Emma. Sorry, I didn't hear that. You got cut off.
And stuff growing above the ground, did you say?
It might be me that's frozen. Sorry, can you say that again?
It's raining.
Sorry, Emma, can you say that again?
I can, yep, go Sandy.
Sorry, would you do you believe that more vegetables that are possibly grown above the ground rather than under the ground may have a higher rate of preservatives, not preservatives, would carry more sprays and things regarding pesticides and things?
Not necessarily. I'm going to talk about that in my toxins sort of webinar, but it's not always the case. It doesn't matter. There's something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and they're not always about above ground or below ground. It just depends on the fruit or the veggie in itself, right? There's certain things which are sprayed more than others. It doesn't matter if it's usually those with a soft skin is sprayed more than those with a harder skin, and they could be grown above or below ground.
Brilliant. Okay, Ellie, well, our 30 minutes is up, and I just want to say a massive big thank you. I've learned lots today. Can't believe that our intestines is the size of a tennis court. That's still just trying to fathom that one in my brain. So yeah, I think everyone really enjoyed it. We're really starting to understand, and I'm just so grateful for our ProBio, because I don't get to every day eat everything that I've seen there. I was kind of like, especially with the prebiotic. I was like, okay, yogurt, but I don't do kefir. And so, yes, I was kind of challenged there. So,
it's great. So if anyone's not on that, then contact someone from LifeVantage or the person that brought you here. But yeah, it's a great probiotic to have, with the sort of slow release technology. And in general, make sure you're eating really well as well. So it's got to be both. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ellie. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.